I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. We have a very, we are the Sleepy Boys. We're coming at you today with a very tired, but willing, energized.
Yeah.
We will be pumped talking. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
Yeah. As he said it before I talked over him, he's the Green Traveler from someplace called Gorsh. He said he'll take me one day, but we're still here. Never traveled outside of the solar system myself.
Yeah, but I told you a long time ago that I would take you someday, and I told you retroactively later that I've been banished. So I was just lying to you.
I always forget that because I was so convinced on the lie that you told me for years. I am the Faceless Leone.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I wanted something from you, and that's why I told you. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take you someday. Yeah, just do
friendship.
Do X for me here.
It was friendship.
Yeah, it was friendship. Yeah, that's what I wanted from you. Sure. Yeah.
This is a podcast about movies and TV, and it's called Green and Faceless on the Couch, and we're doing the potato pick. It comes once a month.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah. This is yes, and today
that was fireworks.
Yeah, I got it. So this is our first Thursday episode in July. That's when we always do the potato pick. Now, given that means that the 4th of July happened earlier this week, and dogs, most dogs, at least that I know of, don't like fireworks. But
no,
my dog cared just a little bit less than she might normally have because she was so worn out because we had friends over, and the first thing that happened was that she got loose. Usually she stays in the house and greets the friends because she is happy about friends. Right. But she was ready to escape that day, and she just darted out there and was gone for like a whole hour and a half.
Yeah, it was scary.
So we didn't really hang out very much after that either. We just watched a little bit of TV. Yeah, it was sad.
I felt bad about that because I felt bad about a lot of things about that. One, I was carrying Taco Bell and I had a bag in my arm. But like, you know, I have a dog as well, as you all you lovely couch potatoes know. And so I understand the fear of the dog getting out and running.
Right.
And so I made the choice. I feel like it was a conscious decision, even though it really wasn't. But it's like I made the choice where I was like, well, I'm not going to throw my Taco Bell down to tackle this dog. There was a moment, I think there was like a brief second right at the beginning where I could have just like, if I had just thrown everything to the ground, I could have just grabbed her easily. But I think the way my brain was working was the same way that, you know, how my dog acts. But I also live in an apartment complex. So it's like, to get to my front door, you have to come through a hallway that's inside.
Yeah.
You know, so when I open the door and we greet friends, Zelda runs out of the house and she'll circle the friends and then come right back inside. She can't go anywhere. I
thought that she was going to do that too. Because, because she is usually very excited that people are in her house. But she is only leash trained. She will not stay if she is not attached to your arm. She will sit and stay if she's attached to your arm, but that's it. You know, I'm trying to get her to that next step, but I think the only way to do that is to do the fence, and well, we all know how money is. Yeah.
Money's rough.
Well, anyhow,
there's another moment. Oh, sorry. There was another moment too where I felt regret at a decision I made, and that was we had finally found her. We had come upon her. She was enjoying herself. She was jumping in some bushes and weeds and everything, and she starts running at me. And I was like, "All right, here's my chance." So I had two ideas. One was just tackle her. The other one was I had a few treats in my pocket, so I pulled the treats out and I got down and I was holding them out like, "Come on, don't you want some treats?" She did not give a rat's ass.
She didn't care.
Yeah, she gave me that big old pit bull grin, and then she was just like, fuck you! Just kept running past me. And I was like, I should have tackled her.
And I was busy at that moment when we were very close to her, talking to Bob about her, because honestly, I thought the other dog had enticed her to stay. Because, not the last time she got out, but she got out on Christmas too, and it always seems to be a holiday that she gets out. I swear it was a holiday the last time too, but it was a very short amount of time that time. Anyhow, Christmas. She gets out and she winds up on this farm semi-harassing their cattle, and they were cool about it, which is good.
The cattle were, or the people on the farm?
Farmers. The farmers were cool about it. The cattle were all up in their barn, and it was like a small herd of cattle, and she was trying so hard to find a way in there, and I thought she was going to get in there and start biting at their ankles, but she didn't. So I thought that was going to happen. Like, she found something that she was interested in. You know, she was eating that dog's food, and that dog was so timid. They were just like, oh, okay. Just like, turned away.
Yeah. So rude.
Yeah, I even said that to her. I was like, Garlic, that's rude. You just don't eat someone's food. Well, anyhow, we didn't come here to talk about that. I don't know why I brought it up necessarily. She is super pooped today. She tore up her pads really bad. Real bad.
Right.
So we've been keeping them covered and medicated with some, topical stuff. And, yeah, she'll survive, but it's just going to be a bit. And I use a lot of conjunctions.
That's all right. Just like her, we'll survive too. We'll get over our tiredness probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
After we sleep. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I've been having like anxiety, like breathing issues. So I think that's really what it is it's just anxiety. But at the same time, like, the way anxiety works is, I can't breathe. I can't get a full breath. I'm not getting enough oxygen. Therefore, I must panic. I must, like, try to breathe as much as possible. And that doesn't help anything. But, like, that's been my whole day. It's just been trying to control my breathing and get that figured out and not fixate on that it's another issue. Because that's what my brain really wants to do, is it wants to make it another issue. My 29-year-old brain being like, you're going to have a heart attack.
But yeah, I think a lot of our listeners probably understand anxiety, unfortunately. And also just live in a very anxious time. So I can't say that I'm surprised that you're having this anxious response.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Been a rough month, actually.
Yeah, sure has.
It's all politics. It's all fucking politics. Those damn people getting in our lives.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about movies. Fudgers. And we had a very special someone who, she wins this vote very often. Our patrons get to vote from patreon.com. And Delma Callahan, she, suggests every week, and that's because she loves us. And she gave us Misery.
I love you, Mom.
And she gave us Misery and fried green tomatoes, which I always want to call green fried tomatoes. Why? I don't know. And we're just going to focus on Kathy Bates. Isn't that going to be nice?
Yeah, that was it. It's the actor spotlight for Kathy Bates. I love Kathy Bates. She's got a lot of good films in the bank there. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that Mom gave us these. And if you want to join in next time, Couch Potatoes out there, if you want to be involved in the potato pick, you just head on down to that website we just mentioned, patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Check out our tiers. There's a certain rung on the ladder there you got to sign up for to be able to make votes, make the suggestion.
Yes, but you will get a vote no matter what tier you join.
That's true. And if you want to step on up to the $10 tier, we got something pretty exciting coming for you later this month. Pretty soon, actually, just a couple weeks from now, I would say. And that is a Patreon exclusive episode where the Faceless Leon and I talk our just casually chat about our most recent viewings. You with the faceless pitches and me with the green ketchup, where I get to pour all my little goo on you and talk about the new films I watched in theater.
So
there have been a lot of films too.
If you want this show to be X-rated, come on down to patreon.com/gradedfaceless.
Because the only films I see in theaters, it's adult theaters, let's be honest here. I don't go to see any of those. Any of those blockbuster releases y'all been begging for.
Yeah, nobody likes
No, that's not true. I'm gonna be talking blockbuster releases. That's what I go to see in the theaters. So if you've been wanting to hear my opinion on films like, say, Elvis or Lightyear or any of the other recent releases, gonna want to sign up for that tier. You don't want to check out our Patreon page there.
Yeah, and since you gave a little preview, I'll probably talk about Gentleman Jack and other series.
Oh,
I don't actually remember.
Gentleman Jack.
I know there's some that I've watched and never talked about on this show, and it just kind of went by the wayside. So I have to kind of work through my memory, work through the dredges.
Remember what you've pitched and what you haven't.
Right. So, why don't you tell us about Misery?
Yeah, let me tell you about Misery. We're all so stressed and so tense and so anxious, and so we sat down and we watched a very tense thriller, and it was a lot of fun.
It was.
It's if you don't know, it's Stephen King, one of his best novels. Honestly, it's easily in his top 10, top 20 best novels. Dude's wrote 60 plus fucking novels.
Right.
But it's a novel about overexcited, over dramatic fans, and also about cocaine addiction, because that was, that's where Stephen King was at the time, was with addiction and how it controlled him. And at the same time, also the fame that was coming his way. I don't remember, this is probably in his first 15 novels that he wrote, and he was pretty darn famous when this came out, and he had a lot of pretty crazy fans coming up to him and people who would give him suggestions and everything. Nothing this dramatic, of course. Don't get me wrong.
I just want to walk down the street in Maine, guys. Come on.
I just want to, it's people swerving at me with vans and shit. I'm sorry. That's sorry,
don't trigger the man.
Honestly, though, you're one of my favorite writers. I mean, I have issues with your stuff, but that's because I love you. And I love you so much that if you ever want to just come on to the podcast and we'll watch some of your favorite horror movies and talk, that'd be amazing.
That'd be good. Yeah,
I might have a heart attack because of that. No, but no, this is he didn't write this movie though. He didn't write the screenplay.
He just went.
He sold it. I know, right? I tried.
Hope I get a
you won't
win.
hear this. Oh man, but no, it's got a lot of amazing behind the camera people. First and foremost, the director is Rob Reiner, famous for, and this is like smack dab in the middle of Rob Reiner's best films too. This is he did Princess Bride, A Few Good Men. I think he did Stand By Me, another Stephen King adaptation. But his first one is This Is Spinal Tap, and we won't go any further. I love Spinal. I love that. We'll have to watch that someday. But it's also written by a constant. I think he wrote a lot of screenplays for Rob Reiner. I'm not sure, but William Goldman, the actual person who wrote Princess Bride, the novel, as well as the screenplay. He wrote both. One of his earlier stuff was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I think he did Heat. I can't remember. I think he did Heat. Al Pacino. It's a great film. Yeah, huge people. And then the basic story is you have an author. Let me get his name here because I only remember James Caan.
Paul Sheldon.
Yeah. You have an author, Paul Sheldon. He has a...
That's how you say that?
Yeah.
Caan? It's
not,
James
Caan.
It's not Can.
Yes, elongated Can has got 2 A's in there. Yeah, I believe it's Caan.
I think you're right.
And a lot of people turn this role down too. You have Paul Sheldon, though. He's an author. He wrote a very famous series of books based on this one lady named Misery. That's his character, of course. It's not based on a lady, sorry. But he wrote a series of books featuring Misery as the character. And, after he finishes another screenplay, I don't think it's a Misery novel. I think it's another, or is it a Misery novel?
What he finishes is the
one about the slum kids.
Yeah, it's not Misery. Because this isn't a spoiler because they talk about it like in the first scene or two. His most recent Misery book killed off the character because he wants to focus on other things. He feels like maybe he's not really a writer anymore because all he's been able to do is this. Sent his kids to college, sure, but he's he wants to move on. And so the new one is like, it's kind of an experiment. He's honestly not even sure what it is.
It's kind of autobiographical, I believe, too. Like, because he, the only thing I remember is that when he is in the care of Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates, which I'll get to, when he's in the care of her, though, she complains about his writing because she's like, you use swear words, so many, like you shouldn't be using swear words. People don't talk like that. And he's like, no, it's about slum kids. I'm a slum kid. Yeah, we talk like that. That's how it goes. And she just blows up.
Yeah. Also, I know you grew up in Deep Wood, Colorado, with maybe 6 other classmates or whatever. It seemed like only 6 people actually lived there. And I can tell you from my own experience from being in a small town in Indiana that we cursed like sailors.
yeah, we did.
And I know this several decades after Annie Wilkes is supposed to have grown up, but also she just has a lot of mental
she's very
problems.
Religious. Yeah, she's very
religious too.
Yeah, she doesn't like certain language, she doesn't like certain things, and Paul becomes part in her care. He falls into her care when he has a nasty car accident in the middle of was it a blizzard? Like maybe it was a snowstorm. I can't remember.
It was a big old blizzard.
And he's very hurt. I can't remember all of his injuries, broken leg, all a bunch of shit. And she surprisingly and amazingly, I mean, very fortunate for Paul Sheldon here. He has this nasty car accident, and the first person to find him is a nurse.
That's right. He's very lucky that this doctor,
very, very lucky,
was there.
Yeah, and stalker she is. She loves his books. She's his number one fan. I'm your number one fan.
That's what he wakes up to.
I'm your number one fan.
Like it repeating.
Such a
just
good
like
shot.
That. Yeah.
Honestly, I gotta give a shout out to Barry Sonnenfeld. He is the cinematographer. I love the cinematography of this movie. It's really well done. There's a lot of good. Specifically, first and foremost, the very first shot of this movie is a cigarette and a book of matches. Yeah, and, out of folk. Yeah, and in it, what's the
Rax?
Oh, Rax focus. Thank you. Yeah, Rax focus from the cigarette and the matches to Paul Sheldon typing away at a typewriter. All 3 of those things very important to the story, and especially the third act.
Yeah.
Really well done. Like, I love that kind of shit. That's really good storytelling. Rob Reiner does a great job, especially building up throughout, because Paul Sheldon is confined to one room. He's in a bed. He's got a lot of injuries.
It's a chamber play, essentially.
And at first, she seems kind of sweet. She's very nice, very sweet, warm-hearted. She has, that tick. Like, when she complains about his swearing, that's the first time where you get a really good sense that something's a little off in her head, isn't there? Yeah. And it's because she just goes insane. She doesn't like the swears, and she's like, you don't have to say all these she doesn't say cock-a-doodie here, but she says it later. But, like, that's the kind of language she uses. She's like, cock-a-doodie, oh my stars, like heavens and Delaware.
Flim-flam.
Yeah, she won't curse, damn it. She just wants Paul to like her, though. That's the other thing. Is she's very desperate that he does like her because she is, again, his number one fan. Now, that said, she does get very mad at him when Misery dies. When she reads that book, or maybe she'd already read it, I can't remember what, but she's not okay with it. She's not okay with it at all.
No.
And she starts to physically, mentally, emotionally torture this poor man to keep him in bed, to keep him sick, and forcing him to write her, the next Misery story.
Yep.
Misery can't be dead. He's got to resurrect her.
Misery Returns. That is the title.
Misery Returns. Yes. Oh, it's good. Yeah, and it's that's just it. That's basically the plot. Is she's keeping this man in her home, and nobody knows. People know he's missing. Yeah, people are searching. Specifically, Sheriff. That's right, Sheriff Buster, played by the great Richard Farnsworth.
I do like Buster quite a bit, and his wife Virginia. Their little tiny side story is so cute. Like, she's just really horny. Yeah, she's a super horny old lady. But he's just old and tired, and he's like, "Come on."
Yeah. And she's played by Frances Sternhagen.
Yeah, thank you. She also thinks that he's cheating on her, but he's really just out and investigating. And when she confronts him about it, he's like, "I am flattered that you think I have that much energy."
Right. Oh my god. And she's his deputy too, which is the funniest fucking thing. There's such a small town that...
Yep, 6 people that live there, I swear.
I love the scene where they get in the car and like she reaches over and like touches his leg and he's like, "Now, damn it, Virginia, when you're in this car, you're my deputy." With no fooling around.
They are definitely the comic relief.
Yeah, they provide a lot of levity because, again, it's, as you said, it's a chamber play, basically. It's in one room. Right. There's a lot of... it's in the whole house, basically. You don't just stay in the room, but a lot of it takes place in that bedroom.
Yeah.
And occasionally, it's the tension builds so fucking much at times, and you're so kind of terrified for this poor guy because Annie Wilkes, she starts to... Her crazy goes to a whole new level, and especially in some very iconic scenes that we'll talk about soon. But you really feel for him, and the sheriff and his wife, they provide that needed levity to relax, because it's like the tension builds so high, and then you're just like, oh my god, I think I'm about to have a heart attack, and then it cuts to them, and you're just like, okay, all right, we're good. The comic relief is here. We can breathe easy.
Very well used characters, I would say.
Yeah.
But maybe a spoiler. I'm not very happy with the ending of Buster.
No, I'm not either.
But it made for good story. Good story.
And it provided everything in that third act, too, that you needed. Because, Paul Sheldon throughout the movie is plotting his escape. He's working towards his escape. It takes a lot out of him, but the way everything is brought into place for that finale is really well laid out. Yeah. Like it's amazing. But I don't want to spoil things because I do definitely recommend this film. But I will say that there's one iconic scene we have to talk about, and that's the hobbling scene. Yeah, everybody knows it as the hobbling scene, and it's gruesome.
Sure,
it's very gruesome. Is it gory? No, there's no gore at all. Until the very third act, there's a bit of gore at the end, but not a lot.
It's also pretty, low-budget movie gory.
Yeah, exactly. It's like ketchup packets exploding kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, there's obviously a dummy used at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's all well laid out, and it's still good, but that hobbling scene... I remember the first time I watched that. I don't remember if I read the book first or watched the movie first. I'm pretty sure I read the book first, but I don't remember what it's like in the book because the movie's so damn good. I remember the movie more than I remember the book.
The clip is so iconic that whatever, I don't even remember what production company this was from, but whatever production company this is from, when the DVD craze was hot, all the previews that were for their production company, that was the clip that they used just leading up to her swinging the sledgehammer.
Ooh.
Yeah, they don't show his legs, That she just says whatever that line is that she says, and then starts to swing, and then they cut to something else that's big and exciting.
The hobbling, what that means is, that there comes a point where Paul Sheldon's getting healthier again. He's able to move his legs. He doesn't need her anymore, basically, is what she's getting worried about. And also, she discovered that he was up and about, that he was roaming about her house, trying to look for an escape. And so, she decides she's got to hobble him. But anyways, sorry everybody, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're back. We're going to work through it. It's going to be fine.
We're still having the difficulties, but that's okay.
We've done with this before. We'll be okay. But as we were saying, we're talking about the hobbling scene. And in the book, originally, I believe, again, I don't remember the book that well, but I believe it was an amputation. I don't believe it was a hobbling. I believe it was an amputation. And I remember reading that was originally what they were going to do for the movie, too. But Rob Reiner was, afraid it would take away from the audience's ability to, empathize with Annie Wilkes, because she's mad, of course. She's going, she is a crazy person.
She's going to hobble him, and that'll make him feel real bad for her.
No, I mean, they'll still hate her, but I guess apparently Rob Reiner was of the opinion that, a physical amputation would just end it completely. Audience would just be like, nope, there's no forgiving this bitch, she crazy. Whereas with a hobbling, you can still hate her and still, be like, nope, there's no way that you can be forgiven, but, there can still be sympathy for her situation.
While I guess I understand their logic in that. For me, I would say because an amputation is a legitimate medical practice, where hobbling was a torturous one.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I would go the other way. I'd feel like, okay, she's a nurse. Right. She at least knows what she's doing, but God, you're freaking nuts, lady.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I understand. I love the scene we got. I think it's very, it's iconic for one thing. Whereas, an amputation, many films have done amputations. Sure, we'd still remember it, but, it probably wouldn't be as iconic.
Right.
But, I don't understand his reasoning. I mean, because there's a moment where I sympathize for Annie Wilkes. There's a moment where I'm just like, yeah, she's mad. I feel bad for her because she's lonely, and she's kind of been shunned by society in a way. And I can sympathize with that. I understand what that's kind of like. So it's there's a moment where I empathize, but after a while, her religion starts to seep in. A lot of her crazier mannerisms start to become very apparent. It's just the sympathy goes away for me about halfway through the film. It's to the point where when the hobbling scene happens, I'm just like, oh, Paul, you poor man.
Please get out of here. Please. And I would say that is all made possible because of the very tense and real performance that Kathy Bates gives. It almost feels wooden at first because she has that sweet veneer, but when she has that upswing and goes back down, oh, I'm so sorry, Paul, my damn temper. Well, I guess she wouldn't say damn.
Yeah. My darn temper.
My darn temper.
My cock-a-doodie temper.
My cock-a-doodie-doo temper. Ooh, I said doo-doo. I should wash my mouth out. So she's just good. Well, that's really all I want to say. Yeah, is that she did a great job.
It's really a good performance. The way she can fluctuate between most sweet person ever to I'm gonna fucking kill you without saying the word fucking. Right. It's phenomenal. And fun fact, this is the only Oscar award for a Stephen King adaptation is Kathy Bates' performance in this.
Wow.
None of the 50 plus movies made off of a Stephen King story or novel or whatever. yeah, this is the only one.
You mean to tell me that Thinner didn't win Best Picture?
No, it didn't. Neither did the Dark Tower remake. It was so, it's crazy.
That was disappointing. What snubs?
Yeah, I was pretty sure Idris Elba would win Best Actor for that film.
Yeah, definitely.
Hashtag sarcasm for anybody who can't hear that in our voices. You mean to say Maximum Overdrive didn't get Best Screenplay of the Year? God.
Though, I mean, the way that people loved, like, Carrie and, is it Christy? Or Christine?
Christine.
Yeah, the way that people love those movies, I was kind of surprised they didn't get some kind of accolades. They probably got some kind of, like, choice awards or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure I mean, it's not the only one that was nominated. There have been many others, like Shawshank Redemption definitely got nominations and everything.
The Green Mile, probably.
Yeah, Green Mile, yeah. But it's the only one to ever win an award, because Kathy Bates won the Best Actor? Best Actress? I don't know if she got Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress. I feel like Best Actress, right?
I would guess Best Actress because there's only the two leading roles.
Right.
Oh, I mean, I guess Lauren Bacall is in this. She plays
that is true.
Marcia Sindel, his agent, who really is the one who calls Buster and is like, hey, this guy's never late, and he said there was a book ready.
Right.
Yeah.
But that leads me also to, given Kathy Bates' performance, given the spotlight that Annie Wilkes gets in this film, here's a list of all the people who turned down the role for Paul Sheldon. Not all the people, but a lot of them. William Hurt turned it down twice. Kevin Kline, Michael Douglas, Harrison Ford, this is all from Wikipedia, Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Richard Dreyfuss, Gene Hackman, Robert Redford.
Wow.
Warren Beatty was also interested in the role, but he dropped out. All those people, they all were offered this role, and the reason they turned it down is because they wouldn't be they would get top billing, but they wouldn't be the person people were talking about going home from the theaters.
Right.
Because the script...
cheese balls. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean... I agree with you, but at the same time, they're big names, and they don't want to be confined to a bed to do just a reactionary role, because that's all this Khan's role really is there's a lot of reaction to it. It's not much...
Well,
you don't do much but sit in the bed.
That it would be really hard to imagine this movie without James Caan. But Dustin Hoffman, I really can see in that bed. I don't know why. That would really work.
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that that's the reason they all turned it down. There might be other reasons, but that's the one I've heard, the excuse that's been given a lot is that, you go see Misery, you leave, you're not talking James Caan. I mean, you do after a while, but you're mostly talking Kathy Bates.
You know what?
And
I really thought until I watched this movie just now, I've never seen this before, by the way.
Wow.
I really thought that Kathy Bates was playing Misery, but Misery's a pig.
Yes. The Misery is Annie Wilkes' pig that she named after her favorite novel character. I mean, that's just silly. Like, why would you name your pet after something? Like after a video game or anything, right, Zelda? Yeah. She's named after Zelda Williams, my favorite Robin Williams kid.
Oh, that's so nice. But fuck those other kids, right?
Oh man. But no, James Caan's performance though is incredible. It's really well done. Because again, it's purely reactionary. It's if any other I don't want to be misleading here, but like imagine somebody else being Kathy Bates, you could have had a huge flop.
Yeah.
If it had been anybody else but Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes, it could have almost been like a B movie.
Yeah, like I mentioned, like some of the effects, they're definitely very cheaply done.
I mean, they were trying for like a Hitchcocky style.
Right.
It felt very felt Hitchcockian.
Yeah, and, I felt that.
And like I kind of feel like that, you know, if you do Hitchcock wrong, you definitely are looking at something B-movie-ish. You know?
Yeah, I'd agree.
But, you know, Reiner's direction is pretty damn good. Yeah, I guess I'm just leading into closing statements here.
Sounds good.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking that maybe we ought to get on the fried green tomatoes, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's Reiner's direction. It's very homey. And then it starts to feel very cagey after a while because you start feeling locked up with James Caan. And it's really well done. Again, he points out everything you need to see that's going to be important later. You know, he brings up all these like small objects. He focuses on them with the camera, and it's really well done. You know, he gives you everything without explicitly being like, this is what's going to happen, damn it, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can piece together all the crazy stuff that's going to happen at the end. And again, also that the ending, that final third act, it's really beautiful. I love it. It's super good. The fight, the struggle, I love it. It's so tense. It's so exciting. And there's a lot of message to it as well. You know, it's like, I don't want to spoil it, but like, I'll say the, Khan's final tool that he uses to escape it's just a huge, big old metaphor. Mm-hmm. And that's Stephen King for you. I fucking love it. It's really well thought out, really well done. Amazing acting. And fuck that hobbling scene. It's so crazy. I'll give it 3.5 stars. There's part of me that wants to give it 4 stars, but it's not a film that I go back to a lot, you know, even though I do love it. Right, it's not something that I want to rewatch a lot.
I think the problem with chamber drama, like that's a problem with chamber dramas rather, is that there's not very much returnability because we know where we start and we know where we end, this same place. And so it's kind of hard to forget the events that take place in this one place because you don't have to remember different locations. So for that reason, it's a memorable movie. But I would agree with you that I'm probably not going to watch it over and over again. Though I will watch it again because I did really enjoy it. I give it a face. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's my favorite movie, but really I will put it up there as one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. I know I gave Shawshank Redemption a face and a half, at least I'm pretty sure. So I will put that one over it. But I have a lot of I've watched that movie so many times. It would be hard to
There's a lot of nostalgia
deny
with Shawshank.
that I have a face and a half of investment in that. It's currency now. These movies now have walking change.
Oh man. Before we head into fried green tomatoes, should we take a soda pop break?
You're right, we should. Are we back?
Yeah, sir.
All good. So I'm here to tell you the story of Evelyn Couch, who comes to a nursing home, sits on a couch, and listens to the story of Idgie Threadgood and Ruth Jameson. We don't forget about that. So Evelyn Couch is Kathy Bates, who we are talking about today. But really the big meat of the story takes place in the past, I would say the 30s, leading into the 40s maybe. I don't know. They're not really talking about
something like
war
that.
too much, but there's a lot of depiction of people who need food. So I would say 30s at least in that first part. So Evelyn is being told this story by Minnie Threadgood, who is looking back on her friends and family of the past. She is played by Jessica Tandy.
The great Jessica Tandy.
I'm sorry.
The Birds, Driving Miss Daisy. I love Jessica Tandy.
Okay, Driving Miss Daisy. That's where I knew her from.
Well, have you seen The Birds?
I might have seen The Birds at one time. I know some scenes from The Birds.
Speaking of Hitchcock?
I know some scenes from it, but
yeah, I don't think she's the main lady in the Birds. She's
I think she was on the cover. It looked like her, but it is several years that the character that we're dealing with today. So,
right,
Ninny is only.
I think she won an Oscar for this too, didn't she?
Did she?
For Fried Green Tomatoes, that is.
Wow. Well, she is a very good narrator.
It was nominated.
She was nominated.
Yeah, it was not. Okay. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Sounds good. So, Ninny, as she goes by, is only in the nursing home to help settle her friend in, who isn't doing so well. And to pass the time with Evelyn, who keeps on getting kicked out of whoever the hell her aunt's... It's her husband's aunt, Ed Couch. Ed, played by Gallard Sartain. Is it Sartain?
I love that name. Yeah, probably. Something like that.
Ed Couch?
Ed Couch.
Ed Couch.
That's a good name.
TV reviewer extraordinaire.
And also absolute, I want to say asshole, but he's like the deadbeat husband who just he's not deadbeat, but he just doesn't recognize, he doesn't pay attention to his wife at all.
No, he doesn't. He is very much a ignoramus.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good way to put him.
Yeah. It's like, well, honey, if those marriage classes aren't doing you any good, just stop going to them.
Yeah, that's him to a fucking T right there. It's kind of like, he doesn't see any kind of problem because he comes home from work and there's always food on the table and he can just watch the TV and, watch his sports games.
Right.
And obviously Kathy Bates wants a little more, more than that. That's not her, that's not the person, that's not the marriage she wants anymore.
That's right. And so she has to seek her romance somewhere else. And so she gets it through Ninny's stories of Iggy, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, and Ruth, Mary Louise Parker. Now, the story, I'm pretty sure Iggy's first name is Imogen. I just wanted to put that out there because I like that name. And she really loves her buddy, her brother Buddy, played by Chris O'Donnell, which I'm pretty sure was the first
for me.
name on the credits, the opening credits. And I was like, oh, Chris O'Donnell's in this movie. I had no idea. And I just remembered... Go ahead.
I was trying to think maybe it was an order of appearance, but then I'm like, no, I don't, they weren't the first story. No. It was definitely on Evelyn first. So, yeah, I don't remember where his name was in the casting list because I wasn't really paying attention.
I think, maybe when this movie came out, I don't fucking know, actually, man. He must have been doing something big or something to get that spot, or they were just trying to fuck with you because he's only in the movie for the first 5 minutes. So
right.
So
are you sure he was first too? Because I clearly remember Kathy Bates and Mary Louise Parker being
Maybe I missed.
Yeah, because I was like, Kathy Bates just won an Oscar. I doubt that Chris O'Donnell would have gotten top billing over her. I would have doubted that
too. But anyhow, as the first one I saw, maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'll go with that. Anyhow,
I was surprised he was in this though because. Yeah.
Because the last time we talked about him, I said he's just in these Batman movies and in Three Musketeers. And I was immediately proven wrong. The next day.
Yeah, it's I say I watched it a lot as a kid. That's not really true. Mom watched it a lot. I watched it maybe twice, actually paying attention.
And then you're like, oh, she's watching this again.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. But I mean, Chris was a surprise because I was honestly of the same opinion as you, where I was just like, no, he's just in the Batman movies. I don't remember him in Three Musketeers. I just remember the Batman movies. And that was it for me. But then the other big surprise was Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah, I saw her name and I was like,
too. What? Yeah. I was like, she's in this? And then she's one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I could have So if somebody had pointed a gun at my head and said, "What was the first thing you saw Mary Louise Parker in?" I would have been like, "Weeds! It was weeds! I swear to God."
Lie!
You fucking liar.
So, yeah, she's super famous for that show about the cannabis.
The cannabis.
The cannabis. So, this movie's about something else that's green, but not that. It's about tomatoes. Not really. They serve it at this diner that they open together later. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, Buddy and Ruth were semi-courting to become wed. They were both very young at the time. And Buddy dies because he gets his leg caught in the tracks and gets ran over by a train. And it was really fucking sad. It was like right at the beginning of the movie. I was like, holy shit, and they just killed them.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they have like two moments in that scene too where it's like you kind of stew on after the fact. Because there's like one moment where they're screaming at him because they see the train coming, and he obviously sees it too.
Right.
And but like because they're screaming at him, he like takes a moment to like take off his hat and turn around and be like, "I'm all right. I'm just hold on a second." It's just like those are the moments like when you look back on it, it's like, man, if he hadn't done that, he would have been free. He would have he probably would have gotten his shoe untied and like jumped out just in time. But like, yeah, it's a scene, man. Yeah. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I forgot a lot about it.
And I will say, I think that Chris did better acting in those scenes than in his role as Robin at any point.
What?
Yeah.
Jumping Gee Willikers, man.
So.
Holy backgasm, what are you talking about?
So moving on from that, Iggy, like, basically becomes, like, a recluse, almost like a hermit character. Definitely, like, Annie at the beginning of Annie Get Your Gun. Annie
very tomboyish.
Yeah. And she had... her mother, rather, sends Ruth to go and find her and be like, hey, maybe we should be friends or something so you can get out of this funk that you've been in for years. Because they're like teenagers at this point. And they really, really become just the closest to bosom friends. And I turned to my wife at this point and I was like, if this is not an lesbian love story, then I'm going to be mad.
Right.
And
it mildly is. Like there's a lot of hints and implications.
I think the veil is so thin that I'm just like, why didn't they just say it? And I was like, oh, because it's the 90s and they're talking about the 30s. But
right, yeah, exactly.
Still, it's very obvious that these two women are in love with each other. But there, of course, are complications. Ruth gets married off to this one what's-his-fuck. He's important to the plot, but not an important character. Frank Bennett. Frank Bennett, played by Nick Searcy. I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones.
Not Cersei.
That's close. What?
Not the... I said not Cersei, the exact same.
So... he marries Ruth, and he is super abusive. And the only reason why she stays is because she wants her mother, who is elderly, to be supported. And her mother dies.
Right.
So she contacts Iggy, and it's like, I need to get out of here. I'm pregnant, and this guy's crazy. So they go along with... one character who's not so important, and Big George, who has been Iggy's best friend since she was a little girl, played by Stan Shaw. He is just a real big black man, and he probably could put a lot of trouble on himself by going into that scary white man's house. And in fact, he did, because that's the plot. Frank keeps on making trouble for Iggy and Ruth after they start this cafe, And eventually goes
Railside Cafe.
Yeah, Roadside Cafe, where they serve
Railside.
What's that? Railside. Okay, Railside. Railside Cafe, where they serve fried green tomatoes. This takes place in where? Is it Alabama? I think it's Alabama.
Yeah, I believe it's Alabama.
Yeah, another one in Alabama.
And Ruth and Frank Bennett, they were in a different state. I can't remember which state they were in, but
they were in Georgia.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think it was Georgia, because it's like the law from Georgia comes up to
right.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of the synopsis again, but I mean, lo and behold, the very beginning of the movie, the big story of it, what Iggy's telling, starts off with Frank Bennett's truck getting pulled out of the river.
That's right. He had gone missing, and they found this truck, and that sent Iggy and Ruth to trial. Because it is suspected that they had something to do with it. And that is the story that's going on in the past. In the present, I guess we already kind of talked about it. Evelyn kind of has this midlife crisis also. She is going through menopause. And Ninny is helping her through that. Is like, hey, you need to, go take hormones and it will help you feel better. And
how many of those hormones you taking?
Yeah. She breaks bad a little bit and starts like yelling at young people who are being rude, like from taking like their spots and stuff in parking lots.
Parking spot. Yeah. Oh man, that scene is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's also kind of the sad part is that present day story, where she's struggling with sweet addiction too. She's eating candy bar after candy bar, and it's because she's neglected by her husband, and there's a lot of a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And while it's a very riveting story, and I still do enjoy it and appreciate it for what it lends to the movie, I don't give a rat's ass about the modern day story.
I sadly can't agree with you more. I really wanted even just more of the past story. That's where I wanted to live.
Yeah.
But we are here today to talk about Kathy Bates. So we should focus on this. And I would say that at the beginning of the movie, I didn't care about Evelyn Couch. I didn't feel like I was made to care about Evelyn Couch. But as she starts growing as a person, and while you said this story is riveting, I do think that it does have merit where she is learning how to live for herself rather than this husband who really could care less to pay attention to her. And at some point, Ed does realize, oh, hey, she's like just becoming this completely other person and is leaving me behind. And so he tries. Yeah. He ends up trying a little bit. And spoil the ending.
That's where I...
Go ahead.
Yeah. That's where I get a little pissy with the modern day story, though, is it's like the way it ends, the way, like, the character build up and all the motivation that they've, delivered and everything in that modern day story with Kathy Bates and her husband, what's his name?
Ed.
It's just, it ends so poorly in my opinion, because it's like, I'm not satisfied with where they're at.
Sure.
It's like, it feels like there's no comeuppance for Ed's behavior. It doesn't seem like he's actually learned anything at all either.
Not necessarily.
Like, he's just kind of still going along with it.
He seems to me like, hey, I need to let you be your own person. I don't have to expect there to be food on the table when I get home. It's not that he's necessarily trying. I don't know. It does seem like he's starting to catch on a little bit. And there's a sequel to this movie called
oh shit!
Fried Green Old Lady in My House, and that's the movie where Ninny moves in with Evelyn.
You were serious?
And Ed.
I was like, "There's a fucking sequel? What?"
If there is, I have no idea. This was also
fried
the first
green nanny in my house. Oh my god.
So, yeah, I do think that in that movie that doesn't exist, that Ed and Evelyn do become closer, or Ed leaves and she finds somebody who actually she belongs with. Yeah. And, you know, maybe at one point they were very passionate for each other. They had a kid who has grown up and left. So who knows?
And it's like, I'm sure the spark can still be there. I'm sure, and that's where I'm really kind of sad about it. Is it's like, I wanted to see more effort to either fix their relationship or just end their relationship. And, you know, when it ends, when it's all said and done, sorry for spoilers, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of change. You know, he's still kind of the exact same man he was at the very beginning. She has changed a lot, but, you know, I don't feel like there's a spark of connection, of like improvement at all in their relationship. And it really just felt like the whole story was just in the past. It was just that story of Iggy and Ruth.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing, is like, I made the joke before this that I compared it to Secondhand Lions, because it's a very similar type of storytelling where you have, you know, this, you know, that young kid we've talked about on the show before in another Patreon pick, actually. But you have this young kid goes to his cousins or uncles or whatever, like, you know, estranged relatives.
His uncles, supposedly.
And he's scared, and he's, you know, he's still trying to learn how to, you know, to grow up, to be a man. And at the same time, he's being told this crazy adventurous story of the past, and it's riveting and exciting. But the thing with Secondhand Lions is that modern day story and the past story are both riveting. They're both very enthralling.
You're very, very right. And it is basically the same narrative framework as this movie.
Yeah.
But for some reason, yes, I am not as grasped by the story that's framing the story of the past.
And it's very weird because, again, like, I watched it as a kid. I think the fact that these stories take place in different times went right over my head, because I could have told you before having watched this, I would have sworn up and down that Mary Louise Parker and Kathy Bates act together at some point. Because as a kid, I remembered it that way. You know, I remembered them all being in the same place. Yeah, it's very weird, because it's just like when I started watching this and then we cut back to the past, and I was just like, oh my god, it's all falling in place, and I'm starting to remember all this from the childhood, and all of my thoughts on this film have been wrong because I don't remember it at all. Specifically the dark shit. There's a lot of dark, a bit of dark comedy, especially at the end.
Oh, yeah.
I had completely forgotten about.
That is pretty crazy, that little bit there. There is one thing that I want to spoil that is at the very end of this movie, and I think maybe we'll lead that into closing statements. At the very end, while they're in that small town again, and Ninny finds out that they tore down her house, which that's sad, we also go and visit Ruth's graves. That is a big spoiler for the movie, sorry. They're old people at this point. Old people die. Anyhow.
Yeah, it's modern time.
Yes,
yeah.
At Ruth's grave, there is a fresh flower and a little card that says it's from Iggy, and that Iggy would love her forever. And anyhow, this letter, and the placement of this letter and stuff, yada yada, implies that Ninny and Iggy are the same person. And I just feel like that they could have more explicitly said that, if that's what they were going to go for. I just didn't like the way that they did it. If that's what they were going
It's very, it's not upfront. It's not, I agree with you, because it's like, that was one thing, is like, when it ends, I'm like, well, obviously Danny is Iggy. Like, there's no fucking other way it could be. In the book, so this is based off of a book by Fannie Flagg. The full name is different. It's not Fried Green Tomatoes. It's it actually is. It's Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Oh, Whistle Stop! You were telling me Rail Stop. God.
Well, I was saying rail side. I was saying rail side because it's beside a railroad.
Oh, okay. Oh, Fanny Flagg worked on the screenplay, too.
Yeah, she did. Alongside Carol Sobieski. I don't know her. She actually... Whoa, I didn't realize this. We talked about Annie Oakley, but Carol Sobieski wrote Annie, the 1982. With,
wow.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Anyways. But yeah, it's in the book, I believe they were different people. Ninny and Iggy. I believe, if I remember reading correctly, because I've never read the book. I've never touched the book. I don't know anything about it. But I've from what I've read, they're separate characters. But in the movie, it very much is trying to imply that they are the same person.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they just didn't go ahead and do it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, why leave it be a mystery?
Yeah. Like, it'd be one thing if Ninny wasn't sure how Evelyn would react to her being gay, but they don't even come out straight out and say that, even.
Yeah.
That Iggy and Ruth were gay. But it's very obvious. They don't get with anybody else during that time. Ninny does marry somebody, had a husband, not portrayed in the movie. But she had a husband and children, at least one child. So if she is Iggy, then the sexuality is fluid. I'm not judging or anything, but it just especially in this time period in movies, they don't typically flip flop with people's sexuality because people were confused enough.
Right. I think also if they were lesbians, I feel like the implication is that she married because society basically forced her to.
Yeah,
like because that's what happened to Ruth too. It's like I would hope for Iggy to have a better relationship.
And it seemed like she did. She said they lived in the same house for 40 years, and Iggy wouldn't put up with shit.
It's true. She would not. So it's like I would assume that she had a true love, but married this guy because that was what it was, as sad as it is.
That is it. I give it a face. I think it's a very recommendable movie, more geared towards LGBTQ than I would have realized. I think we would all in that community appreciate more explicitly being told that these characters are gay instead of them being coded as such. But I think it is an obvious romance between two women, and I enjoy it for that reason, especially how early it is. That's what I have to say about the movie.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I give it 2.5 stars, honestly. Like, I would give it 3, but it's, as you said, there's too much undertone. It's just be explicit. Just, tell the story you want to tell, but there's a lot of undertone. And that modern day story, boy, I'm sorry, Kathy Bates, you couldn't sell it. Like, I mean, she does a great job, don't get me wrong, but it's boring. There's not a lot of romance. And I think that's really what it is I want more romance out of this story. I feel like there's a lot more that can be grasped upon, and that they were just kind of floundering around.
I feel like Kathy's character, Evelyn, throughout the course of this, realizes that she deserves this romance in her life, and she's not getting it.
Right.
And and that's part of her growth, but then she also doesn't get it.
Right. Yeah. That's really where it's at.
For it. But we do at the very least get her being like, hey, I can live for myself without this, even though I deserve it. Like, she still learns how to live her life.
Yeah, she definitely becomes more empowered. Like, she gets herself a job. She gets out of the house. She does stop her addiction to sweets. Right. Like, there's a lot of growth, and I love the growth. But, like, as you said, I want her to be able to get that accomplishment in her love life. I want her to feel, I don't know. I wanted more of the romance. I wanted them to be more explicit. But, like, I love that story in the past, and I love the acting specifically from Mary Stuart Masterson as Iggy, and from Mary Louise Parker as Ruth, because they're fucking great together. Like, they were wonderful. And
yeah, they really were.
I give it 2.5. I definitely recommend it. Mom, I'm sorry if I upset you with anything that that I said that upset you, because I know you love this film a lot.
Yeah, I think,
and for good reason.
I think on another watch, I might even like it more than I like it now. Just because there's a lot that happens in that story, and there's a large ensemble cast that's always in the background. I'm sure there's stuff to pick out that they're doing that would be fun to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch this movie if you haven't watched it. I thought it was a later movie than it was. I had no idea that it came out before I was even born.
Same. Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised that it was an older movie, and I think it holds up. I enjoyed it.
But in regards to the actor spotlight,
yes,
man,
indeed,
it's got to be Misery, because goddamn Kathy Bates.
I have to agree with you. While I think she did both roles very well, obviously Annie Wilkes is one of the roles that she's super famous for.
And one of the most terrifying villains in a thriller movie.
Yes, 100%. Because she's almost inviting. Almost.
Yeah, almost. That opening shot too, or not opening shot, but the first time you see Annie Wilkes from Paul Sheldon's perspective, when he's coming out of his unconsciousness,
right?
And it's out of focus, everything's swimming. You can see that Kathy Bates is standing over him, and that's why you have that echoing sound in the background. I'm your number one fan. I'm your number one fan, and she's saying it, and you can hear in her voice that she's saying it with a smile.
Yeah.
But as that vision, as the blurry out of focus comes into focus, she is just stone cold, and you are very unnerved almost instantly by her, because you're hearing a smile, you're hearing excitement, and then when you see her, that is not at all what's on her face, and it's well done. It's really well done. Check out both films, but know that Misery wins the Kathy Bates actor spotlight.
Yes, if you're looking for Kathy Bates, go Misery all the way. And with that, I think we made a show.
We did. We made it through technical difficulties. We made it through sleep deprivation, possible heart attacks, collapsing lungs.
Yeah,
that's what goes through my head. It's just I can't breathe. I must be having a heart attack. Yeah. I'm 29.
Oh my God! Why did you give me this failing vessel?
Please, where's my electronic cyborg heart?
I need a house nurse. Let me call up Annie Wilkes.
Yeah. Nope. No, thank you. However, you could call up her pig, and I'll take Misery's heart. You can call up her pig, slaughter it, and give me the heart. That might cause some.
Want the heart? That I will have to say, it looks like some pretty good meat on there. I'll take the meat. I don't have a chest freezer though, so I'll probably have to sell some of it. I know you're vegetarian.
You can just absorb a little bit of it. Yeah,
I could just absorb it, but that is the long route of digestion. Okay, chewing. You gotta. I don't have teeth, but I still masticate. Okay, because it helps it absorb better in my.
That's fair.
My formy wormy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you just form around the hog, you can't really go anywhere for the rest of the next month or so, because you're just kind of this disgusting hog shape inside your body.
Yeah, I have to stay home.
You can't even hide.
I have to stay home, and I understand. Not be fun. Well, that's our show, as we have said.
It is. And I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed ourselves. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Thank you for listening. Safe travels, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.